All right, here's Craig Button joining us for the first of two appearances on the show. Craig, the Penguins 8 points out of a playoff spot. Sidney Crosby basically in the running for the Hart trophies on an 85-point pace. He's also got one more year left at $8.7 million before he's a UFA. But Sidney says, Craig, he doesn't want to go anywhere. So how does Kyle Dubis avoid wasting the end of Sidney Crosby's career?
Well, keep in mind that Sidney Crosby has won 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, he's been a great player since the day he arrived. He continues to be a great player. Patrick Kane said that he didn't want to leave Chicago either. Marty Brodeur didn't want to leave the New Jersey Devils. So there's a lot of precedent. I could go on and on and on. I'm not suggesting that Sidney Crosby should leave Pittsburgh or that he wants to leave Pittsburgh, but a lot can change in just over a year from now. And Sidney Crosby's wired to win. So when you look at the team, and for me, it's very, very clear what the problem is with this team. They have too few players doing too much and too many players doing far too little. In my view, Jay, they have 4 forwards and 4 defensemen and a goaltender most of the time being able to play. I'm counting 9 players. You dress 20 for every game. That means you're running short 11 guys. Jake Guentzel is one of those 4. He's out of the lineup. So it's real simple. Malkin's been good. Letang's been good. Carlson's been good. Crosby's been good. The bottom line is here for Kyle Dubis, how do you get 11 players in there to help this group? How do you get them? It's not about an aging group. The age has nothing to do with the performance of those guys. The problem that those guys have is they don't get any help, Jay. They have no help. So get 11 more players, Kyle. That's what the job is if you want to see Sidney Crosby at all. When I say at all, I'm talking about the core, have another crack at the Stanley Cup. Because this group of players ain't helping Sidney Crosby, Malkin, or Letang.
Okay, but before you get to those other 11, can we talk about Jake Guentzel? Because he's number 4 on our trade bait list, Craig, as you know, and he's injured, as you know. Should Kyle Dubis just be focusing all his efforts to try to keep him there if he does want to keep Crosby and all this core around and try to remain competitive?
Jake Guentzel's there and they're not going anywhere. Jake Guentzel can be traded, and then you can re-engage on talks with him as a free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I would suggest trade Jake Guentzel, see if you can get a prospect or somebody maybe more ready, see if you can get draft picks, because they don't have very much in their system. And you can understand when you're pushing for why they find themselves with the prospect cupboard empty, why they've traded draft picks and haven't had an opportunity. That's all fine and dandy. But when you're going to do that, you got to give your team a chance, and this team doesn't have a chance. So the first step would be, okay, let's see what we can get for Jake Guentzel. Let's move him along. And then let's see, maybe we could re-sign him in the summer. But you can sign Jake Guentzel, and if you don't get 11 other players on the team, it's not going to matter if you have Jake Guentzel. You can bring Wayne Gretzky back in his prime. It's not going to matter.
Craig, you're on fire tonight, and we're going to just have you just take a break. Just take a breath even. We're going to take a break ourselves. The latest trade bait board was released on Wednesday. We're going to talk to Craig about that right after the break.